Hello everyone, my name is Sera Yelozer and I'm an incoming postdoctoral fellow at ANAMED for the 2024-25 academic year. In this short video, I would like to introduce myself and share some details about my project at ANAMED. I'm an archaeologist interested in interdisciplinary approaches to the study of prehistoric material culture. My research focuses on themes such as gender and age, craft production, exchange, power, memory, and identity in Neolithic Anatolia. Methodologically, I use multi-proxy studies of symbolic items, such as personal ornaments, to analyze these themes. My approach is essentially rooted in a contextual and biographic framework, employing technological and user analysis. My academic journey began at Istanbul University, where I earned my BA in history in 2013. Initially trained as a historian, my interest shifted towards the deep past throughout time, which led me to pursue a minor degree in prehistoric archaeology at the same institution. I then went on to complete my master's and PhD degrees in prehistoric archaeology at Istanbul University. After completing my PhD in 2022, I held a research position for 1 year at the University of Bordeaux, working in a project that focused on the evolution of personal ornaments in Western Asian prehistory. This research allowed us to create a comprehensive database of personal ornaments spanning from the Upper Paleolithic to the end of the Neolithic across this vast region. I later returned to Turkey and joined the National Geographic Society-funded project titled Small Things, Big Stories, Embodying Prehistoric Identity in Turkey as a postdoctoral researcher. In my PhD research, I conducted technological and user analysis on beads to explore their role in identity expression at Aşıklıhöyük, a Neolithic site in central Anatolia. Aşıklı presents a unique opportunity for us to study the role of personal ornaments in identity and memory making. Over 3 decades of research at the site have produced high-resolution data that allow us to trace the temporal changes leading to food production and sedentism in the region. The site's long-term occupation from the mid-9th to the 8th millennia BC reveals shifts in economy, village organization, as well as supra-regional connectivity, personal ornamentation practices, and burial symbolism. Furthermore, personal ornaments deposited in primary burials are accompanied by anthropological data on biological sex and age linked to radiocarbon dated occupation levels. So thanks to this comprehensive research at the site, I've been able to approach prehistory in my PhD thesis at an individual level by investigating the relationships between ornament making and creation and transmission of these objects across individuals, generations, and distant geographies. My results, in summary, have shown that the beads were produced using a variety of techniques, including complex techniques known from southeastern Anatolia and the Levant. Also, most beads show signs of extensive use and were often assembled into composite ornaments. And there was an age-related pattern. We see it in burial practices. For example, only adults and children around the age of 3 have high numbers of beads, and single green beads and red pigment use was exclusive to females over 40 and children under 3. So my hypothesis was that beads signified relationships between age groups and potentially between generations and reflected status or social roles potentially linked to broader exchange networks. This research offered me new perspectives on Neolithic bodies and material culture, particularly concerning identity and memory making. And in my new project at ANAMED, titled Objects of Memory, Symbolic Item Depositional Practices at the Dawn of Sedentism in Anatolia, I aim to complement my previous research by conducting a comparative study of funerary and non-funerary deposition practices of symbolic items, such as personal ornaments, in early Neolithic sites in Anatolia. I aim to understand whether and how the transition to sedentism affected the deposition patterns of symbolic items like personal ornaments, and how memory and identity were embodied, curated, and transmitted through places and objects. Indeed, throughout the Neolithic, we see various ways in which humans became more and more dependent on objects as well as places. It was not only the items that were placed in graves, which were often heavily used, created, and transmitted, but also the behavior of hiding and retrieving objects in non-funerary contexts can help us also understand how places and things created ties to events or people through which they were remembered. In this study, personal ornaments are particularly significant as they could be assembled and worn on the body or disassembled and distributed among individuals and groups. In this sense, they played a central role in conveying symbolic messages and creating social and cultural ties within and between communities throughout prehistory. My methodology in this research includes several steps. The first is the morphometric analysis to assess the degree of standardization within deposits, which will help determine whether certain types of ornaments were selected for deposition in specific contexts. And the second step is the technological and use-wear analysis to explore how ornaments were made, if they were used, and if they were repaired and reused before deposition. And I will complement these two different analyses and approaches with a statistical approach to detect diversity within each deposition category and to identify spatio-temporal variability in deposition patterns. So during these 9 months at ANAMED, I will work with first-hand data collected through morphometric, technological, and use-wear analysis of personal ornaments from early Neolithic sites in central Anatolia. This data set is supplemented with primary contextual data, which would allow me to apply the statistical analysis to detect diversity in deposition categories. I will compare several deposition categories, including domestic and communal architectural features, intentional depositions such as objects hidden, cached within architectural units, storage or accumulation for future use, abandonment deposits, midden deposits, and also graves. Ultimately, I hope to understand the behaviors that influence the selection of objects to be hidden, stored, buried, and abandoned after use. This will help us understand how personal ornaments and also other small, portable, non-utilitarian objects were valued and used to construct and transmit social memory and identity during the gradual transition to year-round sedentism in Anatolia.